Any health-related information on the following show provides general information only. Content presented on any show by any host or guest should not be substituted for a doctor's advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any new diet, exercise, or treatment program.
Welcome to the Accelerated Health TV and radio show. I'm your host, Sara Banta. I'm a wife, a busy mom of three, and the founder of the cutting-edge supplement brand, Accelerated Health Products. This podcast is more than just a source of information. It's a community for you and for those looking to optimize their health. And I release new episodes every Monday and Tuesday and a bonus one on Thursday. So remember to subscribe and add to your playlist so you never miss a show, and join my free group coaching on Telegram. There's no downside. I post daily and you can ask your questions and be supported by the others. So the details can be found on my website, sarabantahealth.com, and it's not censored. I'm able to say things that some other places I'm not. My goal is to reach everyone who needs me with my message of healing. So help me with this goal. Share this with a few of your friends and family members who may need my help. And today we're talking about your DNA and what DNA can tell you about your health. Many people are looking at their DNA to find out the risk of disease and possibly what steps to take. Some people use it as a crutch or that victim mentality. Hey, well, everyone in my family has breast cancer, so I'm just going to have breast cancer. It doesn't matter what I eat or what I do. Well, that's not the truth. The reality is genetics are the loaded gun and epigenetics are what pulled the trigger. And when I first went to my now mentor and the guy that literally saved me from my rock bottom, he said, Sara, you've got the constitution in Ayurvedic medicine. He goes, you have the constitution of the salmon swimming upstream. You have everything against you. How did you even walk into my office? I can't believe we didn't have to peel you off the floor. And guess what? I'm 48. I've never felt better. I'm never low in energy. I shouldn't say never, but most days I'm never low in energy. And I have taken things into my control. I've also had my DNA tested and found out certain things like I can process caffeine normally. I have the MTHFR gene, like 50% of you, or at least 50% of you, which inhibits methylation. I have a hard time digesting too much saturated fat. I have a higher than normal risk of developing Alzheimer's. So should I just give up and say, well, I'm going to be in an old person's home for Alzheimer's at the age of 60? No. Guess what? I had my brain scanned last week because I had blurred vision. And that blurred vision was from the varicella virus. That varicella virus was triggered by the spike protein. But guess what? When I scanned my brain and they looked at my eyes and said, your eyes are perfect at the age of 48, you do not need glasses. Your vision is not going downhill. The inflammation from the virus was causing your optic nerve to inflame and cause blurry vision. And by the way, look at your brain. It looks amazing. Not just does it look amazing, it's actually one of the better brains or best brains that we've seen on this scan. So are those comments that you would hear for someone that is going to have Alzheimer's? I don't think so. And this is where you can take control of your health. So what did this really mean to me? I already eat a healthy diet away from what I call the 5 disruptors, which we're going to get into, which can help prevent any chronic disease taking hold of my body. I'm going to take care of my epigenetics, regardless of what my DNA says, but it's also helping. So I'm not going to fall into what my ancestors had, what diseases caused their death or mortality or low quality of life. I'm going to take control. Another thing, I have a really addictive personality. I could become an alcoholic or a drug addict absolutely super quick, much quicker than my husband. He probably could do cocaine for a week or 2 weeks and never touch the stuff again. Me, I probably would be in a lot of trouble after just one hit. So I know that about myself. So Do I really drink? No. I found other things to become addicted to, like helping you and helping create new supplements that overcome these new challenges in this new world of 2024. And that is my passion. That's where I put my energy. I don't let my mind become idle. I focus on my family, my friends, my health, and helping you. And of course, God. And that keeps my mind in the right place, knowing that I have a tendency to become addicted to either good things or bad things. So you've got to know your own tendencies and use them to your advantage. So let's look at what DNA is. DNA contains the genetic instructions that play a significant role in determining your health. And there's been a lot of advances in how these variations or mutations may contribute to various health conditions. You could have DNA can reveal whether your genetic mutations associated with conditions like cystic fibrosis, sickle cell anemia, or other hereditary cancers. And yes, it is crucial to know, but it's not your destiny, right? So you might have susceptibility to certain diseases. So like heart disease, diabetes, certain types of cancer. But if you've been listening to me long enough, you know that heart disease, diabetes, and cancers are all about low ATP, low energy in the cells. And I give you tricks to increase that, right? You can also have issues where your DNA influences how you respond to medications and even supplements. Some supplements don't work for people, and I get that. My supplements, the way I design them is that hopefully they work for 99% of you, and I very rarely get people saying this doesn't work for me. Sometimes it's working too well. It's stimulating and getting their ATP up, and they don't know what to do with it because they're so used to being numb and fatigued that they don't know what to do with the extra energy. That would be probably the most common response, but really that is very rare. But saying that, I know my son is allergic to one of the main antibiotics that they gave kids because he just blew up in a rash after we gave him one when he was 2 years old. So that's where your DNA can play into the pharmacy and the medications. Okay, so it also can impact how you metabolize certain nutrients. Like if you're taking the wrong vitamin Bs, it's going to back up your liver and not be absorbed. Most people have that MTHFR gene, which inhibits your methylation of B vitamins. So you also might have a different response to exercise. So you might be inherently better at sprinting versus aerobic activity or strength training. And that is a really interesting insight that I found that I'm better at. I'm kind of good at both, not great at either one, but I love the aerobic. I love the strength training. I can do the sprints, but I could have told you that in high school when I was losing the sprints, but doing great in the long training. But it's nice to see that in your DNA to get verification that you're not crazy. Okay, so it also is going to give you information about your physical traits, your eye color, hair color, certain facial features, whether you're prone to oily skin and acne or eczema and never having a zit in your life. That can be a part of the DNA. And also a risk of neurological conditions like the Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. Okay, so genetics versus epigenetics. Genetics means the study of genes, the heredity units present in the DNA, and how the traits are passed from one generation to the next. And so this primarily examines the sequence of DNA that encodes specific traits, characteristics, and functions, and it's passed from parents to offspring like the sperm and the egg. Genetic variations, mutations, they can occur in the DNA sequence and can be inherited or arise spontaneously. Now, with so many toxins and all the stuff that we're being exposed to, I'm assuming there's a lot of mutations that's happening that what we do, what we eat, what we expose our bodies to is going to affect our future generations. Now, epigenetics means how you change the gene activity due to what you are doing, right? It focuses on modifications to the DNA molecule itself or the proteins in which it interacts due to the environmental factors, diet, exercise, sleep, stress, and DNA methylation and histone modification. That also is, that's an example of what this is. So epigenetic changes are more flexible and responsive to the environmental influences. So it allows you to live your life and be in control. Imagine that. So there is that interconnection, right? We're all set. We all get this this set of genes, and yours might be better than mine in some areas, and vice versa. But we all have the opportunity to optimize our genetic expression. Now, one example that I mentioned is that MTHFR. It is an enzyme crucial for methylation and detoxification in every cell throughout the body. It's responsible for facilitating detoxification of substances like estrogen, heavy metals, and various toxins. And it converts inactive folic acid, also known as B9, into active methylfolate. So this is essential for effectively having your detoxification processes, which is so imperative in today's toxic world. More than 50% of you have that compromised MTHFR gene, and that's hindering the detoxification pathways and elevating the risk of disease. It influences how the liver conducts detoxification, the clearance of neurotransmitters from the brain, the elimination of toxic hormones, and the removal of inflammatory molecules before they accumulate in the body. So, like I said, we are in a different world now. The amount of toxins that are hitting us is exponentially higher than it was just 10 years ago. Okay, so there are so many reasons that you have to be detoxing on a daily basis, detoxing and supporting. So you can do both at the same time. There's this level of toxins in our food, our water, our air that are higher than ever in history. And that is triggering genetic diseases instead of remaining dormant. Remember, epigenetics. This can be good and it can be bad. The amount of processed foods, we're going to talk about all the triggers that could be triggering diseases. I just did a podcast on the fact that the amount of cancer rates going up in people under 50 has skyrocketed. It's no wonder. There's so many things, and let's talk about all of the toxins that we're being hit with. And detox, the word detox and the fad of detox was a fad when I was growing up 20 years ago. Today, it's essential. There is no way around it. So if you're not detoxing and helping your cells and helping your body cleanse, you are going to have this pile up of toxins that are going to create chronic disease and trigger some of the DNA-based diseases. Number one, air pollution comes from emissions from the vehicles, industrial processes, fossil fuels, and you're breathing in those toxins. I live under the flight path of an airplanes from the airport locally, and I'm breathing that in. I mean, we have to wash down our patio, and you see the black soot every week. And I'm sitting there going, oh my gosh, that's going into my body. What am I doing with it? You've got water contamination. You've got polluted water. Most men, yes, men, you guys are on birth control because the birth control is going down the toilet from the urine from all of us women, and it is going into your water. And so we are all on that birth control. And we also have fluoride and bromide and chlorine and pesticides, pathogens, waterborne diseases, so much. Processed foods. If you missed my podcast with Dr. Rick Johnson and Dr. Rob Lustig, go back and watch it. Processed foods has changed our lives. It has hijacked our food system. 70% of the food in the market is processed. It is not real food. These foods and the added sugars and unhealthy fats from seed oils that have linoleic acid and omega-6 inflammatory fatty acids contribute to high uric acid, fatty liver, obesity, diabetes, heart disease, and other chronic metabolic diseases. They quickly degrade the health, causing leaky gut, insulin resistance, malnutrition, inflammation in the brain and body, lowering your ATP and mitochondria, autoimmune diseases, so much more. I was talking to a friend who was worried about her other friend who is obese, but she's super tired. She wouldn't go for a walk, but she's hungry all day long. It's because the cells are not converting food into energy. You think, oh, I eat, that's energy, right? No, your body needs ATP and a healthy metabolism to take that food and convert it into energy for your cells to have energy. And that's what I teach you through my coaching. So as a result, the processed food is stealing energy from you. It's not giving you energy, and it can trigger many of these genetic diseases. Heavy metals like lead, mercury, arsenic, cadmium, they accumulate in the body, leading to issues like neurological damage, kidney problems, developmental disorders. Fluoride, bromide, chlorine, they displace that needed iodine in the body, leading to hormonal imbalances, hypothyroidism, brain fog, depression, high toxicity. How many of you have the energy that you think you should? How many of you are gaining weight out of nowhere? That is your thyroid. I believe most of the United States is suffering from hypothyroidism. Most of the United States, in fact, over 96% is iodine deficient. And when you're iodine deficient, fluoride and bromide and chlorine fit nicely in those iodine receptor sites on the cells all throughout your body and clog them up and dismantle them, take away the ATP, take away the energy. You've got the EMFs and the radiation. I'm on my smartphone all day. I'm talking into a computer right now. Unfortunately, it is part of our daily life. But the studies are showing from all of this radiation, the Wi-Fi, the cell phones, smart meters, x-rays, electronic devices have serious implications, causing nervous system issues, endocrine system issues, hormonal issues, lowering your ATP production and your mitochondria, and leading to cancer. It is known that it causes cancer. And did you know that just being on your cell phone without eating a morsel of chocolate, your insulin resistance can go up? That's not good. It's also contributing to the depression and anxiety that everyone is feeling and that increased fat gain. So just being on your phone can increase the propensity for your body to store fat even without eating a calorie. So there's two categories of radiation, both capable of causing DNA damage: non-ionizing and ionizing radiation. Ionizing is the more detrimental type. It produces highly destructive free radicals and inflicts the damage to the DNA by disrupting what are called the covalent bonds. On the other hand, the non-ionizing radiation, like electropollution, induces less DNA damage by affecting the van der Waals bonds. Within the spectrum, the non-ionizing radiation is low energy, falls beneath the visible light spectrum, and the ionizing is high energy, and it is above visible light. Okay, so this is not good. But what are we going to do? Get rid of our cell phones? No, I'm realistic. We have to combat it. We can do things like put the harmonic stickers on your phones and your computers to limit the exposure. We can turn our Wi-Fi off at night. And I have lots of different things about radiation on my website, sarabantahealth.com, to help mitigate the radiation that we're being exposed to. Okay, what else is freaking our DNA out? The spike protein. It's associated with the virus. It dysregulates the function of the ACE2 enzyme receptor in the liver, which leads to a buildup of angiotensin 2. And as a result, many dormant genetic diseases are becoming active, leading to chronic disease. This is what caused the varicella virus to be triggered and woken up. I had chicken pox when I was a kid. I shared the Coke with my siblings to all have it at once. So we would have the immunity to chicken pox, which is the varicella virus. Why am I getting it at 48 years old? Because of the spike protein. Why are people experiencing that insulin resistance out of nowhere that they didn't have 4 years ago? Spike protein. It causes excess water retention, disrupted sulfation detox pathways, oxalate metabolism, increased amyloid production. We're going to talk about amyloids in a minute. It disrupts your fat and protein metabolism, increases insulin dysregulation, weight gain, inflammation throughout the body, increased hormonal imbalances, infertility, estrogen dominance, worsened menopausal and PMS symptoms. And I've talked about the fact that my daughter had pain level of about 3 when she would have PMS. Now, or not now, but right after she was exposed to the spike protein and all of this started, it went to a 12. She would throw up, she would be sweating, she would tell me, Mom, just hit me, get me out of this pain. I can't do this anymore. And now through my method, that number from a 12 has come down to a 3. And she's able to go to school and to practice on days when her period starts, where that was unheard of before. So it is affecting fertility. How many of you are having a hard time getting pregnant? Estrogen dominance. How many of you men have man boobs and you're not doing anything different? Okay, so that is a big issue with this genetics and DNA. Pesticides and chemicals. So exposure to them, they're in our food, our personal care products, those forever chemicals. And I talked about that on another podcast. Go back and listen. They could spark the onset of genetic disease. We've got GMOs and glyphosate in our food. Our food system has been hijacked. It causes leaky gut, malabsorption of nutrients, and causes the disruption in the sulfation detox pathways. What does that mean? Well, you're eating these healthy vegetables like broccoli and cauliflower and cabbage and kale. They have sulfur in them. If our body can't detox sulfur, it can't detox those low-calorie, low-carb, healthy vegetables that are supposedly good for your liver. Your liver can't do it, and it disrupts the oxalate metabolism. And that is related to oxalates are related to hypothyroidism, urogenital issues, arthritis, brain fog, so much more. And what are the oxalates? The healthy berries, chocolate, kale, spinach, almonds, most nuts. Now we have the industrial chemicals and the toxins like the PCBs, asbestos, dioxins. They cause severe issues with your DNA. Smoking, I don't think I really need to go over that because hopefully you know that's not good for you. Alcohol, excessive alcohol consumption results in addiction, liver damage, mental health issues, social problems. I did a podcast and an article on alcohol. Just from drinking 1 or 2 drinks a week, you are disrupting your detox pathways and so much more. And microplastics, they are in our food and a lot of the table salt, and they are causing a buildup of toxicity in the body. So what are the 5 disruptors? These are 5 things that no one is talking about. Number 1, sulfur, like I mentioned. It's in not just the food, medications, and supplements. And a lot of DIM supplements. So if you're taking DIM for your estrogen, stop and swap it out for calcium D-glucarate or something like that. But it helps, or it caught the sulfur compound, like I said, used to be healthy for us, but because of the GMOs and the glyphosate, our detox pathways aren't working. So they are actually backing up our liver and can be causing Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, arthritis, mental health issues. These vegetables are the cruciferous vegetables, but also onions, garlic, and egg yolks. So a lot of you are doing greens powders. Look at what's in your greens powders. Most of them have some sort of oxalate or sulfur or green juices. I used to drink them all the time and they were horrible for me. Low calorie, but still could be causing water weight, low thyroid, all of that. Gluten, found in wheat, rye, and barley, frequently sprayed with glyphosate, and this is causing the sulfur metabolism issues. And then mycotoxins like corn, soy, peanuts, legumes also influence the sulfur processing. And so you might have feelings of sickness, stress, fatigue, and have more of a risk of mental health issues or autoimmune issues. So they could be triggering your DNA-based disease. What are signs that you have a compromised sulfur metabolism? Bloat, gas, malabsorption, allergies to these medications, sulfur-containing medications, reactions to red or white wine, reactions to garlic or eggs, asthma, wheezing after consuming foods, particularly dried fruit with preservatives, strong urine odor after eating asparagus. That's me. Arthritis, tendonitis, or joint pain, Parkinson's disease, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, IBS, ADHD, neurotransmitter imbalances like dopamine, epinephrine, serotonin, or skin rashes like psoriasis. And the spike protein disrupts the function of the liver and the detox pathways even more. So even if you had a level of 3 reaction to sulfur before, it's now a 10. Okay, so the spike protein has up-leveled everything we're talking about here. So that also, these sulfur foods, because of the spike protein, worsen the histamine response. Histamine is an allergy reaction or inflammation of some sort. That was what was also going on with my eye. So anytime I ate something that was histamine or sulfur, it was making my inflammation in my optic nerve even worse, and I didn't know it. Okay, oxalates. So oxalic acid, it's naturally occurring. It binds to minerals in our body like calcium, magnesium, potassium, or salt, transforms into oxalate. And this is in plants. That's their defense mechanism. They can't run away from the animal, right? So they have to have some sort of plant poison to keep the animals from eating them. And foods high in oxalic acid include beans, grains, bran, seeds, peanuts, almonds, Swiss chard, spinach, beets, potatoes, chocolate, rhubarb, figs, kiwi. I actually had someone talk about how healthy kiwis are. They're very high in oxalates. Blackberries, black pepper, cumin, and turmeric. How many people are taking a turmeric supplement, right? For low inflammation. Well, guess what? Oxalates cause arthritis. So what are you doing? You're taking a supplement that's making it worse. And it's also important to note that the human body generates oxalate as a metabolic waste product with no known function. They can also lead to mineral stealing. So they can steal minerals like iron, calcium, magnesium, zinc from the body and cause leaky gut, Crohn's disease, autoimmune issues, and urinary problems, UTIs, bladder infections. So what are symptoms? Pain in the connective tissues, gout, arthritis, swelling, stiffness, nerve irritation, neuropathic pain, poor concentration, mood issues, sleep issues, immune system reactions like autoimmune diseases like celiac, IBD, or rheumatoid arthritis, thyroid disease, Hashimoto's, hypothyroidism. One more thing, right? One more thing that's hitting that thyroid. The thyroid is the master endocrine gland. Your thyroid is so much of your health. Right? Okay. Digestive problems like leaky gut, constipation, gastroenteritis, rectal pain, bladder pain, UTIs, kidney stones, and also nutritional depletion. So you might be losing your nutrients, even though you're taking multivitamins and eating all the right foods. So to make matters worse, the spike protein disrupts the oxalate metabolism even more, worsening the histamine response even more. Fat. Yes, we need fat. But like I said, I have a hard time doing too much saturated fat at a time, but that also depends on my current state of health. 2 months ago, when I was having a backup in my liver, I could feel it. I was nauseous, didn't know what to eat. I could not eat any fat. Now, my liver's clean. I feel great. I can take on a lot more fat, saturated fat, and I eat the gristle of my bison ribeye. Now, that is part of your genetics, but remember, your genetics are also going to interplay with your current state of health. Are you sick? Do you have the flu? Or are you super healthy? You are going to have different expressions of your genetics, and fat is a big one. So you might experience fat malabsorption when you consume a high-fat diet. That's why I do not recommend a high-fat ketogenic diet for most people, because with all of the toxins and the backed up livers we all have, most of you have a compromised fat metabolism, and especially because of the spike protein. So when you do that, you might get gallbladder pain or nauseous when you eat it. Chronic stress triggers the constant release of epinephrine, which is also a fat-based hormone, hinders the body's fat processing abilities. And that chronic stress response can disrupt the digestive system, the immune system, and worsen the fat malabsorption. So that chain reaction results in gut permeability or leaky gut, liver congestion, impaired hormonal metabolism, development of acne. So what do you look for? Change in your stools. Are they floating? Strong body odor, bumps on the back of your arm, acne, yellow skin tone, very dry skin, PCOS or PMS symptoms, edema, diarrhea, nauseousness, gallbladder pain on the right side underneath your ribs, and right pain up here, and gallstones, or even a gallbladder removal. So I would say if you're experiencing any of that, lower your fat intake. Now, amyloids is the fourth disruptor. These are proteins that the body can't break down into usable amino acids. That's the whole point of eating protein, is to break down into amino acids so that your body can put them back together and build your muscles, right? Well, if you can't break them down, then you can't use them. And that leads to an accumulation in the brain, causing Alzheimer's and dementia, kidneys, various tissues throughout the body. And they not only disrupt organ function, but they also protect harmful pathogens. So the more amyloids you eat, the more strength you're giving the pathogens in your body. So when I had the virus in my eye, I really couldn't have any amyloids because it was only going to strengthen it and feed it, right? So this is going to also cause gut issues. Now, what else to add to this is, according to the Journal of the American Chemical Society, the spike protein generates amyloid. So we already have them going on in our body, and eating them is only going to make it worse. The spike protein produces more amyloids, and that is also going to increase histamine response. And the fifth one, guess what it is? Histamines. So histamines, they play a pivotal role. We need them. They're part of our immune system. They regulate stomach acid and neurotransmission with the brain. But what we don't want is too much of them. So histamine intolerance is a condition where the body struggles to effectively metabolize histamine, and we get these signs like headaches, digestive issues, diarrhea, skin reactions, hives, itching, rashes, nasal or respiratory symptoms, congestion, sneezing, runny nose, fatigue, drowsiness, flushing, that redness or flushing of the skin, irregular heartbeat. And this spike protein is causing more histamine intolerance than ever. I used to never have an issue with histamines. I do now. And that is because of the spike protein. It dysregulates the histamine receptor gene called the HRH1, and that leads to a high histamine and exaggerated inflammatory response. This triggers insulin imbalance, and that triggers chronic cortisol release. And as a result, your adrenals become depleted and chronic fatigue sets in. And so the GABA response through the ACE2 receptor inhibition becomes impaired, which also leads to insulin dysregulation and adrenal depletion. That's why GABA is actually really important to supplement with now with the onset of the spike protein in our lives. Okay, what's the good news? The supplements that help mitigate your DNA weaknesses. Accelerating iodine. I talked about iodine earlier, but in addition to increasing metabolism and helping you with your hypothyroidism and supplying the necessary iodine for your thyroid, It helps alleviate the spike protein damage to the body, reduces histamine response, devitalizes foreign pathogens that trigger genetic diseases, reduces inflammation throughout the body, and helps detox all cells in the body from the toxins that cause disease, that radiation, the chemicals that we talked about, all of those toxins, the iodine gets them out of the cells. The other thing that no one talks about is that here's a cell. The cell has a bilipid layer. Bi meaning two, lipid meaning fat, unsaturated and saturated. We've talked about the dangers of the unsaturated fats, the linoleic acid, and all of the processed foods. Now, if you've been eating processed foods, those fats are staying in your cells for over 7 years. Now, what happens if you don't have iodine? Those bilipid layers have an iodo-lipid value. Iodo meaning iodine. You need iodine in the wall of the cell membrane, the brain of the cell. And if you don't have iodine, then no nutrients can get in and no toxins can get out. So iodine is essential for the detoxification process and also for the nutrient absorption at the cellular level. And you need the iodine in the cell to increase the ATP in the mitochondria by 18-fold. That means that it's going from 2 ATP per mitochondria to 36. That is where your energy comes from. It's not from the food you eat. So you might be eating plenty of food. You might have a ton of energy stored on your body, right? But you're still tired. There's no translation of that food to energy. Well, accelerated iodine is an integral part of increasing your ATP. And when you have ATP, your immune system's strong. And then your body becomes that miracle that keeps those genetic diseases dormant. Also helps with brain fog and depression, and helps obviously with your thyroid, but it helps with every cell in the body. So like I said, we have to focus on our thyroid. And second is the accelerated thyroid. Your thyroid is the master endocrine gland. So as it controls the endocrine system, it keeps functioning properly. It's necessary to keep those genetic diseases inactive. It is the only thyroid supplement, natural, that combines ancient Ayurvedic herbs like conchanar with the modern grass-fed thyroid glandular and enhanced with cutting-edge scalar frequencies. Like all of our accelerated health products, those scalar frequencies just take it up a notch. It helps with increasing metabolism and fat burning, eliminating the water retention and edema, reducing fatty liver, strengthening connective tissues and bones, improving your immune system and your mood, helping with depression. I have young people all the time saying, oh my gosh, I'm so happy now. I can actually get off my antidepressants. Most people on antidepressants actually have hypothyroidism. The scalar frequencies that we embed in the product help with increasing overall thyroid health, detoxing the toxins that we were talking about earlier, and the radiation. Next is the accelerated colloidal silver. My son at the age of 9 had leukemia. That was probably a genetic disease, right? And yes, I do have leukemia in my family. I didn't know anything about diet. I didn't know anything about all of these other supplements. All I knew was this. And we put him on that, tried to clean up his diet a little bit, but definitely didn't do what we've been talking about here. And within a year, cancer cells were gone. That boy is a 21-year-old thriving college student and hardly ever gets sick. So part of the issue with the DNA-based diseases is that they're from a weakened immune system. Okay, so the accelerated colloidal silver helps strengthen the immune system so it can do what it's meant to do and devitalize the viruses, bacteria, fungus, and foreign pathogens. It's then put through, it is the only silver that uses a water implosion technology and scalar frequencies. And what does that mean? We strip any bad frequencies out. We put in good frequencies that help with the health of the thymus, the lung function, devitalizing bacteria and viruses, and clearing any physical or mental shock from the body. Accelerated colloidal or scalar copper. Okay, so through the last 4 years, a lot of you have been supplementing with zinc. Zinc and copper play with each other. So we also have the processed foods. Processed foods and the spike protein both independently deplete copper out of the body very quickly. So most of us are walking around copper depleted. It is the third most prevalent mineral in the body and is needed for not just the proper organ function and metabolism, but for hair and skin, bones, anemia, immune system, blood sugar, cardiovascular health, cholesterol management, connective tissue, thyroid function, and yes, fat burn. So without that sufficient copper, your genetic-based diseases can be more easily activated. And it is the only copper supplement with 99% absorption, of course, treated with water implosion technology and the scalar frequencies. And the scalar frequencies are to improve the structural integrity in the body, balance that copper and zinc equation, and devitalize fungus in the body. Accelerated keto. Okay, so one of the most prominent risk factors to activating DNA-based diseases is insulin resistance and fatty liver disease. Accelerated keto, you do not have to be on a ketogenic diet. In fact, I don't recommend it, but it flips the body into fat burning or ketosis within 30 minutes. I actually tested it on my Lumen this morning. I woke up on a 3, which is halfway in between fat burning and carb burning. And I took my keto, my supplements. I just sat there for an hour. I retested and I was at a 2, which meant that I was in fat burning mode. So there you go. Didn't do anything, hadn't moved, hadn't worked out. It allows the appetite for the processed foods and sugars to be suppressed because your body's eating and tapping into those fat stores. So if you have weight on your body, but you are still tired and you're not tapping into your own fat stores, that's the goal. And it increases ATP by 5 to 10 times, strengthens mitochondrial health, reduces fatty liver and that dangerous visceral belly fat associated with most metabolic diseases, increases detoxification of the toxins, and helps with that liver. So a lot of these diseases are started because your liver is just backed up and can't detox. Then the Olaloa multivitamin drink. It's great for kids and adults. It is a very comprehensive multivitamin, and it is designed to regulate homocysteine levels and promote methylation for all of you who have MTHFR. So it incorporates vitamin C, glycine, betaine, and has CoQ10, acetylcysteine, and a whole bunch of other stuff in there. It is my go-to for a multivitamin. Accelerated Nuke No More. That helps with the radiation we're being exposed to. Like I said, radiation can activate genetic diseases and increase that insulin resistance, leaky gut, depression, anxiety, cancer. Nuke No More is the only oral radiation drop supplement, and you take it right after your iodine. Tastes like water, and just 12 drops underneath your tongue. Super easy to do. The Accelerated Cellular Detox Powder, my favorite detox powder at night that I do. Doesn't taste good, doesn't taste bad, tastes like dirt. You can mix it with some juice, put some sweetener in it, apple cider vinegar, easy to go down, but it's a combination of 6 organic ingredients to soak up those toxins that the other supplements are letting go. And it now includes chitosan, which is known to carry excess fat from the dietary intake out of the body and help with weight loss and also help lower cholesterol levels. It's enhanced with scalar frequencies as well, detoxes the body from pesticides and insecticides, radiation, heavy metals. Now, you can add in the liver flush. I recommend a liver cleanse a couple times a year. For me, I do it every 6 to 8 weeks because I feel so good afterwards. But the liver is the most important organ for detoxification. Many are suffering from clogged livers, fatty liver disease due to all that we're talking about. And that spike protein has compromised that ACE2 receptor in the liver. This cleanse, the Accelerated Liver Flush Cleanse, it's super easy. It is not difficult. Flushes gallstones out of the body. You will see them in the toilet, hundreds to thousands. It eliminates pain, cramps, inflammation, lower that AST and ALT liver enzyme count on your blood test. Your doctor will be happy. Replaces damaged liver cells with healthy ones. Gets rid of the toxins and pollutants. Helps alleviate drug and alcohol damage that you may have. Improves digestion of fat and protein. Improves the function of the ACE2 receptor. Reduces water retention. Your mood will go up. Your liver holds anger and frustration. So when you do the flush, you flush out all of those bad mood vibes, right? It flushes out unhealthy cholesterol deposits, opens obstructions in the liver and the gallbladder, boosts the immune system, and helps the liver and gallbladder regenerate and heal. Okay, so those are the supplements. Now what do we do for lifestyle? You got to get rid of the sulfur. So those are broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, kale. I'm going to name all of these, but you can go to the Accelerated Food Guide and follow that guide for what to eat. And I give you lots of options to tell you what you can eat. So this does not feel restrictive. Avoid amyloid proteins like chicken, pork, turkey, conventionally raised beef, and then the oxalates, the spinach, almonds, berries, kale, most nuts. And this will help alleviate that burden on the system. Avoid the high histamine foods. And I have a full list of those as well. That's going to help just calm your whole system down. Minimize the seed oils and inflammatory fats. So processed foods have got to go. If you open the package, throw it away. It shouldn't have an ingredients list because there should be one ingredient, the whole food. You can have carbs. You can have brown rice and fruits and all of the foods that I have on the food guide. Just get rid of these seed oils, canola oil, peanut, grapeseed, safflower, sunflower. Oh gosh, there's a whole list of them. But they are causing insulin resistance and they are causing disease. It's not necessarily your genetics. These oils are the number one factor causing disease. And then you want to prioritize wild animal protein. So the soils are depleted. The wild animal protein has the most nutrients in them, and that is the bison. That's the most nutrient dense. Lamb, deer, elk, Cornish game hen. You can do wild fish. There's a whole list on my Accelerated Food Guide. And then you want to exercise. So exercising moves the lymph, moves the blood, the circulation to get the toxins out. You can also do sauna. You can do rebounding, and make sure you tap into the Accelerated Food Guide. If you have any questions about where to start, I went over a lot. You might have a genetic disease you're worried about. Email me through the website. Happy to help you. And that is sarabantahealth.com. I'm happy to put together a protocol for you, and join my free group coaching. You don't have to buy a thing. It's on Telegram. There's no downside. I share daily tips and tools to improve your health, and you can ask your questions there as well. More information is on my website, sarabantahealth.com. And don't forget to follow me on social media at Accelerated Health Products. You can catch this podcast on over 100 platforms, including Spotify, iTunes, and iHeartRadio. Just search for Accelerated Health TV and Radio Show. And I'm on a mission. Help me share my healing message with everyone who's ready to listen. Just share this podcast with a few of your friends. Remember, I'm live every Monday and Tuesday, and a bonus episode on Thursdays. You can use coupon WELCOME10 to get 10% off site-wide for your first order. Thanks again for joining us here, and have a great week.